Hello, everyone. It's been a little bit of a minute, not that long of a minute, but um, yeah. So we are back on a Sunday fun day, and it is June 1st. So I hope y'all are familiar with that means. Um, I just want to make sure that I pay the greatest honor, reverence to, I don't know if it's shared feelings, mutual feelings, to my favorite, and that'll be to the ATF. Yeah, to our favorite LGBTQIA letter. Yeah. So I'm just gonna start out like that. Because why start Pride Month without recognizing the country's biggest LGBTQIA organization? And the song that was playing, by the way, was Wrong Think by Gasoline and Vertebrate from the album Welterweight. So it is on iTunes. Check it out if you are interested. Gasoline and Vertebrate is a very based artist, canceled for Wrong Think, just like the song. And for the first time, though, let's move on. Let's move on from Pride Month for the ATF. First time on Alternative Sovereign, we have a guest. So I'm actually not going to be talking to myself and talking to the universe this time. I want to bring on somebody that I've been on his stream, I think about 3 times. Very nice, very fun, easy conversation. It just kind of flows between us. So, I would call him a buddy of mine for sure. I want to bring on FuseBoxx. He is a comic book writer. I love comics personally. I read more manga growing up than I read regular comics, but I got into regular comics, of course, a bit later. Personally, I'm more of a Marvel fan. Whenever I was, getting into the whole comic thing, I did read Thor, and I read Angela of Asgard. If you know who Angela of Asgard is, then you know Marvel. If you don't know who Angela of Asgard is, you're just gonna think it's some weird woke stuff, which, I don't know, but it was good. It was good. I liked Angela of Asgard. But without further ado, let's bring our first guest ever. This is FuseBoxx.
What's up?
Now, I don't know if I introduced you or gave you a good intro or not. If you want to talk about yourself, tell me about yourself.
I approve. I am a comic book writer from New Orleans, Louisiana, and I'm also a YouTuber, and I am also a filmmaker, and I am really into basically bashing on leftists because I can't stand them. And I'm tired of them.
That's exactly why we're here. So you're perfect for the show.
I like to think I am perfect,
Yeah, well, this show, we bashed on like the right wingers too, especially like the turtles of Congress, if you know what I mean. And if they deserve it, they deserve it. But usually it's the leftists. They're the ones that are a little bit more crazy. They're the ones that are a bit more like the Sith. You're with me or against me. And so I'm not with you. So I'm just going to drag you.
Amen. No,
All
I mean,
right.
yeah, I've been dealing with that my whole life.
Yeah, see, I wasn't a libertarian my entire life. I think I went over that briefly in like my first ever stream. I was left-wing back when they were anti-war during the Bush era. Then I went conservative. Then I went libertarian-leaning conservative. Actually, college brought that on through the Young Americans for Liberty group on campus. And then Bump Stock Band pushed me to full libertarian. So I don't know about you, but I had a journey.
Yeah, I had a journey. I mean, I think I was definitely more conservative when I was younger. And then as I got older, I started becoming more moderate. but at the same time, like it's like as I started to adopt certain left wing ideas, they went further left. So it's like I
Mm.
guess I'm technically like a '90s liberal type in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I hear that kind of story a lot, where you kind of lean left, but the left you, as they continue to go further and further left. I know that's Elon Musk. That's part of his thing. Now the bold lib Angela Belcamino, I believe her name is. That's basically her story too. Is that everyone just went further left. So she seems like she's super right wing, and she was really not. And I think from the Young Turks, her name escapes me, but she's same thing for her
Oh yeah.
too. Yeah. Now talking about them going further left, though, I don't know how far left you ever got. Um,
Not
I
that
am
far.
ashamed to say, not that far. When I first started college, I was probably this far, where you want to be an activist, you want to make a change. The world is just unfair. And what we're seeing a lot of now is a lot of grown ass adults behaving like that. They are LARPing
Oh yeah.
as activists. And today, a video, or I'm not sure if it came out today, but I saw this video on X, and I saw it today, and it was beautiful because a left-wing LARPer fucked around and found out. So this is this video that I actually have played, I would say ashamedly, but not, multiple times. This is Congressman Jerry Nadler's assistant, I think. Well, she fucked around and found out. So let's see what her consequences were. Let's pull that up.
Fuck.
Okay.
What?
Hold on a second.
Give me your contact information. Right
No,
now.
I'm going to give you time to speak to you.
Hey,
That's what I'm
I'll
going to
speak
do.
to you after.
I got you.
No.
I got you.
You're
okay.
I don't have to.
You're okay.
Tell the
You're
police
okay.
they can't come
You're
in.
gonna be okay.
I'm a federal officer. We're here checking on something. We have the right to check. I'm
Can I
giving
see a
you.
warrant?
I'm not resisting. Stop resisting. You harboring rioters in the office.
That's not a private office either. That's a government facility. She's trying to tell the government they can't come in.
Hold on there.
Oh, wait, where did it start? Did it not start at the beginning? Oh, okay. Here,
Oh,
let's start
God.
at the beginning. But that was beautiful still. She's trying to tell him that she can't. Okay.
No, she did not. That is not what happened.
That is not what happened.
Fuck.
Okay.
What?
Hold on a second.
Give me your contact information. Right
No,
now.
I'm going to give you time to speak to you.
Hey,
That's what I'm
I'll
going to
speak
do.
to you after.
I got you.
No.
I got you.
You're
okay.
I don't have to.
You're okay. You're okay. You're gonna be okay.
I'm a federal officer. We're here checking on something.
Crying,
The right to
Jenny.
check. I'm
Can I
giving
see a
you.
warrant?
I'm not resisting. Stop resisting.
You know what? Video didn't go all the way back. But so
Oh my lord.
she, I don't have her name. I think they're hiding her name because they hid her face. She got arrested by Department of Homeland Security. Apparently there was a demonstration going on, and the word is she assaulted an officer. Now you LARP
Oh.
so hard. Yeah.
I
You
think
LARP
I
so hard.
remember.
Yeah, yeah. It's these people who are so crazed about this immigration ordeal that they think
Yeah.
they can just attack officers over it.
And they were getting away with it for years. I mean,
Yeah.
like this, I'm not going to be satisfied until Chaz Chop are brought up on charges of treason.
Yeah. The thing is that the left, I can understand like having issue with authority. I'm a libertarian. That's part of our deal. But, you assault an officer, you're still assaulting somebody. And what they're doing is they're doing these demonstrations against ICE, against immigration, and they think they can blow it up bigger by assaulting the police.
Yeah, and I'm sure they come up with the excuse, oh, I wasn't hitting him that hard. Oh, I didn't really hit him. I just touched him.
Yeah, and what's crazy is that there's actually video of them punching, pushing, slapping them, and not necessarily this case, but in general of the lefties protesting over like ice facilities and such. But if you hear, I believe the lectern guy, he said that there were January 6ers who just patted officers in the back, telling them good job, and they were arrested for assault.
Of course they were.
Yeah, and they justified it. But yet you have these people who are literally actually assaulting officers, thinking that their LARPing ass can get away with it.
Well, that's the thing. Like with that whole shit with Chaz Chop, like they were literally declaring autonomy from the United States. That's an actual insurrection. And they got like maybe like a couple of nights in jail. And then January 6th happens, all of a sudden they care so much about treason and insurrectioning. So I'm like, if you're going to charge them with insurrection, you better come after Chaz Chop with insurrection.
Oh, exactly. It's just double standard. You know what? If the left didn't have double standards, they wouldn't have any standards. Speaking of, Nadler actually tweeted this letter. I'm going to read out Representative Nadler's statement on the incident at my district office. President Trump and the Department of Homeland Security are sowing chaos in our communities, using intimidation tactics against both citizens and non-citizens in a reckless and dangerous manner. In the most recent and deeply troubling incident, DHS agents forcefully entered my congressional office and handcuffed a member of my staff. Okay, the truth be told, Nadler, the guy that looks like, one of those kind of hefty-looking church deacons that probably says things that he shouldn't about, like, the younger girls in the church, that's what he looks like. She's gaslighting so hard.
Oh, yeah.
And omitting why someone's handcuffed. They don't just barge into places and do this.
God. And I'm pretty sure you're saying he's a hefty guy. Is this the same guy that was coming out saying that, like, basically telling people that they need to be civilly disobedient?
Oh, I don't know if it was Nadler. Let's see. I got his picture here.
That's the only fat guy I know, other than Chris Christie.
Other than Christie is definitely definitely a big one. This is Nadler. Let me pull it up and then I'll pull the letter back up. All right, so Nadler, like I said, he does look like one of those church deacon guys, a little hefty. This is Nadler.
Okay, never mind. Different guy.
Yeah, he's not like rotund, but he's just like, I don't know. He just reminds me of those sleazy church deacons. Like, and I'm not bashing church deacons or people of the church at all, but he just looks like that sleazy guy that's a deacon that goes to your church.
I know what you mean.
Yeah, or maybe just the weird ones that I went to church with growing up. I don't know. But
or he's one of those ushers that loves the power too much.
Oh yeah. That, like, if the teens are slightly whispering to each other, that he tells their parents that it's just
got the high pants going.
And he's 4.5 feet tall. Is he really?
Oh God.
Well, he does look kind of short compared to that door.
I just thought it was the high pants. Maybe the high pants were throwing me off. I don't know.
Yeah. And I don't want to sit here and body shame people, but it's just, this guy is an authoritarian nut job, and he is trying to gaslight everybody into thinking that Trump is just reckless. Yeah, Trump is a little reckless. I'm not going to lie. He is a little reckless. But this incident was because one of his staff was LARPing around and found out. So,
yeah.
Let's continue with this letter, though. From the outset, my number one concern was for the safety of my staff. Yeah, well, tell them not to start assaulting people. Maybe they'd be a lot safer that way. While no arrests were made and the situation was quickly de-escalated, I am alarmed by the aggressive and heavy-handed tactics DHS is employing in New York City and across the country. The decision to enter a congressional office and detain a staff member demonstrates a deeply troubling disregard for proper legal boundaries. All right. January 6th. I'm sorry. They want to talk about legal boundaries.
Well, you got to remember, like when it comes to their own behavior, they have the memory of a goldfish. You know, it didn't happen if it happened 5 minutes ago.
Right? And this is funny right here. If this can happen in a member of Congress's office, it can happen to anyone, and it is happening. You know, what happened to no one is above the law?
Well, you know, it's that fascist dictator busted into his office, and his innocent, poor assistant, who was clearly distraught, was being rounded up like by the Green Police.
Yeah, and that's what's so wild. Like, it's like the left and the Democrats especially are they're the party of non-accountability. They're not accountable for anything. You know, like if something is something goes wrong in your life, it's because you know the color of your skin, or
Yep.
if you didn't get a job, it's because of the color of your skin, or because of your gender or sexual identity, which, you know, for the ATF, they're all well employed, so I know sexuality has nothing to do with it. And they are just the biggest hypocrites. And I feel like that's over, like beating a dead horse to say that. The biggest hypocrites, because the way the January 6ers were treated was unconstitutional and actually violating human rights the way they kept them in isolation.
Yeah.
Some actually committed suicide.
Yep. But see, that happened a while ago, so it didn't happen. So, yeah.
Yeah. And they were, but there's an excuse, but they were trying to overthrow the government. The wildest thing about that, though, they're the most armed side of the aisle. That's the worst insurrection ever if you're going to leave your guns at home.
Yeah. Yes, but you got to remember, they also think we're incredibly stupid. So, you know, it's like, oh yeah, those dumb hicks from the sticks, you know, tried to invade a government building with pitchforks, and you know,
They must have seen Red Dawn. If they saw Red Dawn, they would have a different idea of people from rural areas, because yeah, it's not going to be like the super urban people that are going to survive any kind of invasion or apocalypse.
God almighty.
Yeah. All right. Let's finish this crying letter. I should have done it crying instead of sounding like I'm like so mad. But I call up President Trump and DHS to halt the use of these dangerous tactics. I didn't see anything dangerous. He was just arresting her. She was
dangerous.
crying, so it's dangerous to make his staff cry, I guess. And to abandon use of the expedited removal process, which denies due process to immigrants and citizens alike. You know, why don't you focus on the fact that your staff are assaulting officers first?
We can't talk about that.
And you know, the biggest thing that it annoys me so much is that they're seriously talking about all this like due process, expedited removal stuff. They are purposely like negating that there are actual procedures that have been done and don't need to be done, and it's all legal. But I do need to say, politician tears, this letter.
Oh, I see these letters I love, because see, he's trying to come off like he's fighting the evil regime. And that's the thing, you posted something on Twitter that hit the nail on the head. It's that leftists love to be the people who are like resisting the empire. You know, like they love to be the guys like we're the oppressed downtrodden that are fighting for the future. You know, that's where they thrive.
Mm,
When they're in charge, they have no idea what they're doing.
exactly. They the thing is that they LARP so hard because they want to be like the rebels in Star Wars. They want to be the Avengers, and they want to be the underdog that's fighting the big mean thing. But they don't understand that the cognitive dissonance that they have is that they're actually fighting for the Empire.
Yeah, but they see they think it's they're fighting for, you know, like, oh, we're all just going to be living like, you know, the government's going to take care of us. Government's going to be nice. That's,
Yeah.
you know, there's never been an abuse of power with government unless it's
Oh,
Republicans.
oh, never. That's why the world wars were all under Democrats.
We don't talk
That's
about
true.
that.
Yeah. Well, that's just Nixon was. Well, he was a different case anyway. Um, but I don't know. That's one reason why I call left-leaning alt people coggies. I'm starting to just call anybody on the left coggies because they all just have the worst cognitive dissonance that I've yet to see. All right, let's get some comments here. If they started taking and promoting accountability, their demographics might actually fix their situation and stop relying on their government welfare programs. Yeah, if you can't justify taxing people more and have these government welfare programs, how are you going to be able to launder money through things like USAID, you know?
That's important.
Mm.
If we can't money launder, like what can we do?
Well, they have the fox in charge of the hen house, and you get these corrupt politicians in there. And Nadler's one of them for sure. All right, no offense to anybody from New York, but all the stuff you've been seeing in New York lately is just effed. Like you
Yeah.
got Dexter Taylor, who should not be in jail. You got Scott Wiener running again. Do you see that? He was on The View.
No, I didn't. I heard Wiener and it made me laugh.
Yeah, he was a little bit too free with that as well. That's why he is a literal convicted and registered sex offender.
We have a sex offender in office.
No, he's not in office. He's
Okay.
running for office again. Yeah.
Is that legal? Like,
I think almost anyone can run for office. But yeah, Scott Wiener is running for office again. He went on The View, and they were open about the fact that he is a convicted and registered sex offender, and he's gonna get votes. I guarantee you, he's gonna get votes because that D next to his name.
yep,
That's
always.
Yeah, you know what? That's what the D is for. The D is for disgusting, especially for Wiener. He was like sexting a 16-year-old. Do you know how old this guy is?
He lives up to the name.
Yeah. Right? Biggest irony is his name with what he was too free with.
Exactly.
Oh, this is about Nixon. Let's start at the beginning. I like Nixon. History has grossly misrepresented Nixon. I say his biggest flaws were opening international trade with China and allowing mass immigration. Yeah, a little bit of a Watergate corruption too. And honestly, that's probably why he is misrepresented so much, as you say, because you know he had quite a huge scandal, probably the biggest scandal since us having a literal weekend at Bernie's the last 4 years.
Yeah. And I mean, I'm pretty sure most of the corruption of the Biden administration really dwarfs Watergate.
Oh yeah, Yeah, I want your take on this. It just came out, right, not too long ago, which I wanted to kind of go live and discuss this as well. That Biden, it was in stage 4 prostate cancer. It's already in his bones. Yet he just left office, and it takes a while for that to develop. What is your take on the fact that they just released that now and all the auto pen stuff?
Oh, they did it now because it was safe. That's the whole reason. It's that couldn't do it while he was in office because then that would give the Republicans ammunition. But now that he's out of office, and now that it's like the dust is settled, it's like, okay, well, now we can slip this out, and we'll try to win some sympathy points, and then also at the same time obscure all the stuff coming out with the scandals with him, because it's like now they got the easy defense. You're picking on somebody who has cancer. How dare you? It's all a strategy. It's all a game.
Yeah,
I mean, they're damn good at it.
oh, yeah. That's one thing I will credit them for. They're very good at being sneaky. But whenever you have the media on your side, you have academia on your side, you have just wild, crazy apps. Basically all apps lean left. I would say even X leans slightly left because Grok still has some left leanings. You have all these on your side, and if you do something to cover up, what's his name? Cuomo just came out with a book, or is coming out with a book, about how he assisted in the cover-up.
Oh, that's great.
Sympathy for you for covering that up, acting like you didn't know whatever you knew.
That's just like when OJ wrote that book, If I Did It. Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Do you think OJ did it?
Oh, we all know he did it.
Yeah. Well, I think he may have had somebody do it, but was present.
That's possible, but
I
just know, the jury flat out, a juror they interviewed a couple of years ago flat out admitted, the whole reason we voted not guilty was because of Rodney King.
That's messed up.
Yeah.
There was an experiment about Derek Chauvin too here recently, where somebody put their knee on a guy's back the same way George Floyd was, and he could still breathe. So that's just the justice system is justice is not blind in this country. That's for sure. It is not blind, and it's not nonpartisan.
Yeah, it's ultimately it's for them. It's a balancing game of civil unrest.
Yes. Yeah. And it's almost like they want to keep us divided by having everybody get judged differently. Because, like I said, the J6ers were treated differently. And now that the left is getting just the smallest little taste of FAFO, now it's authoritarian and just dangerous tactics. You're a dictator.
Well, they're banking on the fact that the average citizen is not super tuned in. So it's like they're hoping that it's like, okay, you won't see what we did back then, and it's like we'll do what we're doing now. It's like, oh well, you know what I mean? It's like growing up, I remember the biggest thing about the left that always annoyed me and disgusted me was how during the war there was a ton of burning the flags, F the USA, all that stuff. Oh, the USA is just the worst country in the world. And then when J6 happens, they completely switch on a dime to, we're patriotic. We love this country. And how dare you disrespect this country? But, they don't expect us to remember.
Yeah, and there's this really disgusting song going around TikTok, which, freedom of expression, freedom of speech, I'm definitely all for it. But doesn't mean I have to like what is being said. Okay, so that's a little precursor right here. Yes, and libertarian, I don't have to like everything you say. Okay, I can have an opinion on it. Okay, so there's this gross song going around TikTok where these lefties are playing this song that's I'm ashamed to be an American, something and I can't forgive the men who lied and took my rights from me. What rights did you lose?
Oh yeah, of course.
If you're talking about abortion, if you're a chick and you're talking about abortion, I'm sorry, Teresa, you got to drive to the next state over for abortion because your state doesn't do it. But that's your state. That's not the federal government. It is your Democrat representatives that had the floor, had Congress, and did not codify it. Just like Congress didn't codify the Doge cuts, which I'm still very salty about.
Oh, I am too. It's no, like that was like 90% of the reason we all wanted to vote this way. Was we wanted to cut the hell out of the waste. Because it's like, we can't continue like this. It's gonna collapse.
And that's why Elon got on board, because he understood that. And he is really, I can tell he's very exacerbated, very annoyed, and very obviously and understandably upset that Congress just spoke out one side of their mouth saying, oh, we love Doge, we love all these cuts that you're doing, all this stuff that you're finding out. And the other side of their mouth, their vote, oh, let's just pass this bill with all this spending still in it and not codify the Doge cuts.
Yeah, they were getting hit in the wallet. That's what it's all about.
Oh yeah, I can almost bet you that they still had some people whispering in their ear about some kickbacks. You know, they all get kickbacks. There's no way they all get so rich with like a $250,000 job.
I think, isn't it true that like most of the aid we sent to Ukraine got bounced back to Democrat politicians?
I believe, don't quote me if I'm wrong, but I believe it was kind of a routing way. It went to one thing to another thing to another thing, and then that got bounced back to like their campaigns and maybe in their pockets too. So in a roundabout way, it did. I think it would have been to the money to the defense contractors, and that money the defense contractors do, they give that money to people in Congress.
Of course.
Yeah. Because apparently we were giving Ukraine our old equipment. Okay. And so we need to make new equipment if we give them our old equipment, right? And so then the defense contractors get a lot more money. But actual aid, how much do they actually get? Well, they got enough to be able to cause what Russia called their Pearl Harbor recently. You heard about that?
I don't think I did.
That was like the last, like from the last 24 or 48 hours. Ukraine attacked Russia in Russia.
Oh,
and
great.
Demolished a lot of things. And Russia is apparently calling it like their Pearl Harbor.
Yeah, that shit ain't calming down.
Yep. All right. Brandon says, I'm past wanting to see us recover economically. Now I want us to get exactly what the neocons and ANCOMs want, and for the whole thing to crash just to prove them wrong. I saw, I believe it was Phil Labonte said that he's hoping the communist wins the election. I think in Seattle or just in Washington in general. He wants them to win so everybody can watch him screw up.
Yeah, I think that's unfortunately, it's like with the stubbornness of, the up and coming generations in particular, but I would say like, well, not the up and coming, I mean, the ones who have been pushing lefty causes. The only way they're going to learn is if they find out the hard way.
That's true.
And even then, they might not even learn. They might just find a way to scapegoat the right again.
That wasn't real communism.
Yep.
And what's crazy though is that the actual new generation is actually extremely conservative.
Like that's why I corrected myself.
Was it Generation Alpha? Yeah, Generation Alpha. Like I saw this video on TikTok where this teacher was like, I think she might have been crying even that she got slut shamed by boys in her class. Yeah,
that's
like apparently Alpha's very conservative.
That's a new one.
But I guess if you're throwing a lot of degeneracy, like growing up that you're just going to push back from it. Like that's what you're going to rebel from. You're going to rebel from what the generation before thought was rebellious.
Yeah, I would agree. I think.
Yeah.
I mean, I hope we don't. I don't want to see us push too far right. I just, I'm hoping that there will be a balance because I have not yet lived through a balance.
Yeah, it just kind of escalated from the Bush era. I
Yeah.
think that's when it really just kind of started heating up. Okay, let's see. The Hueys are flying around the Air Force Base, not super common, probably due to the attack on Russia. You can tell when shit's going down by which aircraft are doing heavy drills. Ooh.
Oh,
Yeah.
great. Yeah.
Alex Jones was saying earlier that we basically are in a war with Russia because NATO started everything, and who heads NATO?
Yeah.
NATO.
And I mean, I'm pretty I know on Timcast they've talked about how they think they're pretty sure that there's U.S. troops deployed there. It's just that it's not been officially declared. Kind of like how Obama snuck in the Syria stuff.
Yeah. I think Obama really set us up for some bad stuff. But I will say he was better in some ways than Biden, because Biden wasn't really running the country. First off, it was his bunch of little team of aides or whatever. But I think a lot of the things that he set us up for have been pretty disastrous worldwide. Definitely globalist kind of stuff.
Oh yeah, I think that was pretty much priority number one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and
nations are bad.
Yeah, the one world government they're trying so hard to push, and this whole attack with Russia. I'm not pro Putin in any way, shape, or form. I think he's a bit of a dick.
No.
I think that he's really he's a dick. All right, plain off, plain and simple. I'm not in any way praising Putin by saying this, but is Russia really our big bad? What has Russia really done to us for us to be bad?
It's all it's all just a pissing contest, I think.
Yeah, it definitely is. But the military industrial complex needs a big bad, because why would we keep growing our arsenals and coming up with new technology if we don't have a big bad to eventually need to use it against?
And Russia's a safe target because they're white people.
That, and they are also a big superpower as well with their own arsenals. So it's like, oh, they got this, so we need to keep up and make this and do this thing.
Yep.
Yeah. So
gotta keep it going.
It's a pissing contest, and it's like they're just like it's a dick sizing contest. It's kind of how I've always compared it to. It's like, who's got the most nukes? Who's got the coolest, most updated weaponry, and then Trump goes out, we have weapons that no one's ever heard or seen before. It's like, okay, do you want peace or do you want to sling it around now?
I mean, that was the thing. I think a lot of people who voted for Trump who weren't really right wing. I think they voted for Trump because he was the one who was saying let's end wars. So it's like, what the hell are you doing going out trying to stir shit up? Thought the whole point was to hash out peace deals.
I'm down with peace, because peace means my tax dollars stay put. Well, kind of stay put. They stay more put. More put. All right. So
it's like
entertainment.
And it's just that the U.S. has been at war for a long time now, and it's like we need time to recover and lick our wounds.
Yeah, we're just gluttons for pain. It seems like for the gory stuff.
It's like, well, again, it's like all the overspending, all the wars, all the, it's you're throwing train tracks out while the train's coming up right behind you. It's like that's the thing. Like that's the whole soul of America First for me was just like we need to stop worrying about out there. We need to fix shit over here. Can't take care of everybody else if we're falling apart.
Exactly. But for some reason, they try to say we have a duty and obligation because we have so much, but we also have issues too.
Yeah,
Can we
and
fix ourselves first?
apparently that's mean.
It's mean and selfish. They like one example is whenever you fly with like small children, you hear the flight attendant say something to the effect of, put your mask on before assisting the child, right?
Yep.
We're not putting our mask on. We're just assisting the world.
And doing a bad job of it, I would say.
Assisting the world and getting kickbacks to the corrupt.
Yeah, it's like we're funneling money to other countries, and those countries' situations aren't improving. If anything, like with all the shit the CIA has done, they just keep going through regime change after regime change after regime change. Shit ton of blood. Nothing really improves. Like the last, I think, like Iraq was somewhat improving. But then, like, the minute we left, they were like, well, let's just put the other guys that just left back in charge. It's like, okay, well, now women can't go to school again, and everybody's got to...
Was that, wait, did I know Afghanistan pulled women out of school.
Was it? Okay, it was Afghanistan I was thinking of. It wasn't Iraq. But I know Iraq, that it fell to shit.
Oh yeah, and I feel so terrible for the women there. I'm not even like one of those kind of feminists, but the way women are treated in Afghanistan, they say culture is Sharia law, but these women were really wanting to make something, like go to school and learn something. I'm sure they should have and could have been able to find a balance, but they refused to. So they pulled all the women out of school. And as they killed some of our service members on the way out, because that withdrawal was shameful and disgusting. And I hope those aides that were running the country, like, I wonder how they sleep at night. But I'm sure they sleep pretty fine.
Well, yeah, that was 5 minutes ago. Yeah.
Oh, they're just toy soldiers and numbers to them, because that's how they see it, and it's disgusting. But
yeah,
I want to take a small break real quick for our sponsor. We have a sponsor for today's show. We have pulling this up now. Can y'all guess it? Can y'all guess today's sponsor? libertariangoth.com, where is the biggest alt culture leaning or alt culture themed whatever Liberty Gear website or merch site for all of your liberty needs for the metalheads, punks, goths, and emos of the world. If you are not a coggy and you want to, say, cyberbully the government in a nice metal font here, cyberbully the government. I actually just ordered myself the t-shirt version of this, and I am pretty stoked for it. But we have the best-selling Make America Goth Again hats too as well. You can use code Liberty for all for 10% off. That is Liberty, the number 4 ALL. And let's not forget the Make America Metal Again, Make America Punk Again. Oh yeah, beanies too. And then Make America Emo Again, which that's not the emo. There's the emo. Which I'm probably not the biggest fan of Make America Emo again, because people get goths and emos mixed up. I don't know how or why, but there you go. So check out our sponsor if you have a moment, have some time. There's a lot of cool stuff on there. There's a lot of Ron Paul merch, Thomas Massey merch, and just some all-around three-letter agency hating merch, like our Pride Month representatives, the ATF.
Oh, Pride Month.
Yeah. We got a hot one here. Let's see. You ever read about how our own military was complicit in trafficking little boys to the Pashtun people in Afghanistan and Pakistan because they would fight on our side? I have not, and that is absolutely appalling. I've heard stories where they say not to interfere.
Yeah. Nothing the CIA does shocks me anymore. It's
yeah, I'm
depressing.
not shocked. I'm disgusted, though.
Yeah. I mean, no, but it's like, I used to be one of those guys who thought, like, you know, people would say those kind of things, you know, when I was younger. And I was like, oh, no. No, that sounds like a kooky conspiracy theory. No. People aren't that awful. And then, lo and behold.
Yeah, you know, just like you said, like, not surprised. Nothing of that surprises me anymore. But it's still, I'm just like forever disgusted every time I hear something.
Yeah.
But I believe, even though Bongino, Dan Bongino, Cash Patel, even though they try to say Jeffrey Epstein killed himself, which he did, they did say the corruption goes so deep, deeper and worse than we thought.
I don't know how it could be worse than I think, but I mean, I'm always proven wrong. So,
well, it's like, do we want to know? Do we really want to know?
I mean, I think it would be fitting justice in a way if the people knew, because it's like that.
Are they gonna do anything about it though?
Well, they operate at their best when the people are oblivious.
Yeah, and we're a lot more oblivious than like anybody could fathom. That I know.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, because at this point things have gotten so bad with the corruption, like what Doge uncovered, what USAID was doing, how they're funneling money to like other countries back to you know, politicians and such, and then you have Jeffrey Epstein stuff come out and not come out, and then you have two people who we trusted who's going to share the truth say he did kill himself, but yet all the circumstances around it, like, I know I bring Jeffrey Epstein up all the time, I bring him up all the time on my timeline, but I don't think anything is a coincidence, really. Do you?
I don't. I mean, I think it's possible that he could have killed himself because of all the, you know, his world was crashing down around him. But I do think that there were people who had a vested interest in his life being taken away.
Oh yeah, up to the royals of England.
I mean, the fact that ridiculous thing that with Pam Bondi, when it was like, okay, we're going to hand out the files now. And it's like, they're not really the files. They're just stuff we already knew. And then I think and then I think the U.S. Twitter, the government Twitter account tried to pull some kind of prank where they're like, oh, we're releasing the names. And it was like the Rick Astley Rickroll. And it's like, really? Like, of all the subjects to do that over?
I know, right? Like normally I would have thought that was hilarious and would have like bookmarked it like in a fun way because I like when like government is like
Silly.
actually like yeah, but there's legit victims. There's still
Yeah.
alive. One of them has just recently been, unfortunately, the loudest one was.
And
But,
yeah, I
you
would.
know,
That one feels very fishy.
oh yeah, because she said before that she's is in no way suicidal. But you know, like talking about like coincidences, you know, like I'm saying, the cameras went out. He was just taken off suicide watch, and he was alone, and this and that, you know. And then now they're saying he did. It just when it comes to the government, they're so corrupt. I really don't believe in any coincidences within the government. Whatever they do, you know, there's something they won't stick to. And then we hear the JFK files, where
Yeah.
it has come out where the CIA did take part. Like it was a clique in the CIA. So it's like the CIA is like scapegoating a group of their own agents for it too.
Fuck.
All right, here we got one from Rumble. They are now feds. We want to get solid case on Epstein files. They have good lawyers. Yeah, like they are feds now. But Bongino was a fed before. And then he
Yeah.
got kind of like vigilant and we need to figure this out, and now he's reprogrammed.
I don't know if it's like. I mean, hell, he might be under like, you know, it's like if you don't run with the story, we're gonna kill you or something.
Yeah, they did look kind of distressed the way they delivered it. Did you see their faces?
Yeah, it was very, very peculiar.
Yeah. Because if someone is trying to threaten me or tell me something and I have to deliver something with a straight face, I would think that's how I would deliver it the same way they did as well.
I'd like to think that maybe they're pulling some kind of like a longer scheme, and it's like this is just a part of the plan. Like they have to feign like they're backing up the agency for a while in order to get around and get at some other deeper secret, and then they'll be able to pull the trigger. You know, some Metal Gear Solid shit.
It's exhausting, that's all I know. And I don't think we're ever going to get the truth on Epstein because apparently there's foreign agencies, foreign intelligence agencies that are involved.
Oh yeah, and I mean, just the fact that, you know, some of the richest, most powerful people, some of the most famous people in the world are on that list. They're going to do everything they can to protect those people.
Yeah. But no one is above the law. Yeah, that's bullshit.
Well, you know, that was then. That was 5 minutes ago. Come on.
Yeah, that was then. This is now. You know, if you have a D next to your name, you should be safe from the law. Any arrest against you is definitely politically motivated.
Yeah. That woman was so innocent. It doesn't matter that we saw the video. Like,
yeah. Right? Well, I guess if they want to see a real authoritarian, they should go to North Korea, a place where they can't put out letters like Nadler did, or they would actually get arrested for that.
well, you know, North Korea is just a horrible capitalist society.
But they're democratic. It's in their name.
I've heard that argument from people online, like whenever people bring up like, oh yeah, you love authoritarian communism, look at places like, you know, China. Oh no, they're capitalist. Oh, okay. Yeah.
Yeah, they're a weird kind of capitalist because they're still capitalists, but the state is still very involved. Like they have billionaires there, but the state has their hand in the cookie jar of your business, regardless of what it is. Like it may not be owned by the state, but they're definitely like involved in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah. Well, we got like about 5 minutes left. I really thank you for coming on. You're my first guest ever, so I'm glad this went somewhat smooth. I don't really know what I'm doing with a guest. Just to be completely like transparent, because it's usually me just kind of talking out to the atmosphere and with the comments. But I would like to know if you want to plug anything you got going on. I mentioned your comic books, but you want to tell us more about it before we hop off here?
Oh, absolutely. Outlaw Nights. It is currently live on Indiegogo, fundmycomic.com, and Kickstarter. It's technically ended on Kickstarter, but you can still back late. But essentially, Outlaw Nights, it is my comic series about space pirates in the 31st century. I'm taking a lot of the classic stories of pirates and I'm updating it and I'm giving it an awesome postmodern edge. Not the bad kind of postmodern, but I'm giving it a nice cyber, and we're not leaning on any ridiculous stereotypes on pirates. But essentially, issue 2 is fully funded, and I still got the issue 1 second chance campaign up there if anybody wants that. But you can also get issue 1 on the second issue 2 campaign. And we have hit the goal of $500. We have exceeded it, but I would like to push that further, higher, further, faster. So get in on it, because this is every kind of story you'd like. And I will say there are some Liberty themes woven into this.
Oh yeah, pirates for sure are a good example of F the government. We are going to do what we want.
And I definitely basically, because this is like 1,000 years from now, I made it to where the governments of Earth are all basically these authoritarian nightmare states. But it's that the further out into space they've colonized, it's like their grip is not as tight the farther out you go. So that's what's led to a huge boom in crime and piracy and calls for revolution.
That sounds pretty awesome and base to me. I'm down with that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, pirates are awesome. Like people want to think of like Jack Sparrow all the time, but or if you want to get more like realistic, the Somali pirates. It's not, pirating is not all ocean, although that's kind of like more seen as, because it's kind of open ocean. It's easier to kind of get around and just try to pirate around. But, people don't think space is very vast too, just like the ocean, even more vast. So having pirates in space, that's pretty cool.
And it's our best chance of getting away from authoritarianism.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, nothing says F you to authority, authoritarianism, and the government especially, like being a pirate. Just like back in the early 2000s when we used to download music, we were all pirates in our own day.
I love Jack Sparrow. He's one of my favorite characters in fiction. Like he's, I love that character archetype of the guy who can talk his way out of any situation, and that's how I felt about Jack.
And Jack was just like of a character, very well developed, very well done. Pirates and Cowboys are ultra libertarian. Yes, they are. So if you like the Liberty whole front, give Outlaw Nights a look there, especially if you like comic books. You like the whole Liberty thing. But we are out of time for tonight. Thank you so much for coming on again.
Of course.
We'd love to have you on again. Discuss everything that's going on in this world and things that we suspect. But hopefully our suspicions never come true about any of these conspiracy theories and whatnot. But I wouldn't doubt if any of them are true. And I'm sure Alex Jones will probably break it first, and then people call him nuts, and then it'll come true, and then we're all like, like shocked Pikachu.
Well, you know, yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, thank you again. Thank you everybody for coming on, watching, saying what's up. And make sure you lead with kindness always, unless they don't deserve it. So have a great night, everyone.